Hey guys, it's Rick. Welcome back to the channel. I'm here for Pixi Dust Designs today. And as the title you can see, we are going to be talking about how to make a cute, easy scene card. So I'm going to be using the It's a Party stamp set, the Easter Bunny stamp set, along with the coordinating dies. And I couldn't decide on which paper pack to use, the your QT or the Easter pad. I did decide on the Easter pad. I've already stamped out my images on Express It cardstock in an alcohol marker friendly ink. I'm going to be coloring these up with some alcohol markers. I'm using my Hoo markers today, and I'm coloring the teapot with my, the blend is RV180, RV030, and RV260. As my lightest color, I'm going to keep things super simple. This is the most difficult one out of the whole project that we're doing. So you do have to stamp all your images out first for your scene card, and then you're going to color them all up, which is what we're doing right now. For the blue shade, I'm using B030, B050, and B120. I also like to spread these around a little bit. So, my colors, I like to have them I try to have them at least in 3 different areas. So I picked out the flower, went out of the little pot from the Easter Bunny set, and then I'm coloring up another one of the cups, and then I came back in with that same pinks that I used before, the red violets, to color up the flower, and I'm going to do the icing on my little cake here also in those shades. So just super simple coloring. The next one I'm doing is just a violet color, and this is V020 and V030. So I've started off with my shadow, and I'm adding in my lightest color and blending it out. I'm only using a 2-color blend on most of these because they're kind of a small image, but that way it lets me add some color. And I went with the pastel tones, so that way it's nice and springy and easy to color. Like I said, this is going to be easy. So I colored up one of the little roses up there. I'm adding in the T right now, and that's BR2 and BR3 for that. And then I use the Y9, the BR2, and the BR3 for the cake. I've added in my darkest color, which is the BR2, blending that out with the Y9, and then I did add a little bit of the BR3, just a tad. The flower basket, I'm going to do the same thing. I've put in the BR2 first, and I'm bringing in Y9 first, then BR2, and then the BR3. And on the little tops of the basket, I'm just putting in a stripe of each of the colors. I'm not blending, I'm just adding that stripe of color up there just to keep it super simple. And that colors up our little basket. And I'm going to do my little bee. I'm using Y121 and Y03. I just colored it's a super small image. I just colored it all. For the stripes, I didn't want to go with black. I just went with a gray color, a cool gray. I did cool gray 050. For the wings, I added in that B050 and B030 and then blended that with a clear marker. I'm going to color my little bunny now. I'm starting out with the B050, and I'm going to blend that out with GGO20. Green Gray 02. For the tail, I just added in the same colors, and blended that out with the lightest color. I'm going to do my other bunny the same way. His little tail, I added in just a little bit of the lightest color, and then blended that out with the 0. I'm going to come in and color up this little bunny. I'm going to make her all gray. I think it's cute that she's smelling the flower, or he's smelling the flower. I think that's super adorable. It just adds to that whole nice scene of spring. I think it's going to make a nice spring picnic card. That's what I'm telling in my head anyway. This is the story I tell anytime I start doing a scene card. I kind of come up with a story. That way I know what my markers are, what my background of my stories are. And I just colored up their feet and their ears with R19 and R080. And for the green, I'm using G140 and G120. Super easy coloring. Again, there's all my images. I'm going to finish up by adding the steam, and then I'll cut those out with the matching dies that have them. And then the bunnies I'll cut out all fussy cut. All right, so for my pattern paper, again, I decided to go with the Easter set because it had this scene paper in it. And I just cut it down. That way I didn't have to create my own scene. I already had the landscape. I could just cut it, and then I could arrange things where I want them to go, which is another hardest part about creating a scene card, is figuring out where you want everything to go. So I'm kind of arranging them kind of where I think I might want them, and then I think I might take some out. It's always better to have more images. You can always take them out and add to the inside. So I'm just going to arrange my scenes around here, and I'm going to decide final placement, final jeopardy. I'm going to start attaching things down. The layers in the back that you want to be furthest away, you're going to glue straight down. Anything else that you want to be more in the foreground, you want to pop up. Like my little bunny, I should have popped up on a 1 millimeter foam tape, but I did not. I just glued her down. My little teapot and cup, I did pop up on foam tape, and I just added that down. I'm going to add my little cup right there to the side. I added the other cup with this little foam tape, or my cake with a little foam tape. I decided to change where he's sitting. I'm going to add my other little cup over there and just kind of tuck that in where I want it to go, making sure the little bunny is glued down. My little bee, I'm going to pop up, and I did have to cut some very small foam tape for that. That way it elevates him up off the page and makes it look like he's actually in the sky. Since I'm using that landscape pattern paper from the Happy Easter paper pad. So I'm just going to take my little tweezers and add a little liquid glue and pop my little bee on where he's flying with his little bee trail. And I'm going to attach that to a piece of black cardstock. Just cut, I think it's a 1/4 inch larger than my pattern paper. I'm going to add this to another piece of pattern paper, and I'm going to stamp my sentiment on yet another piece of scrap pattern paper that I had from that paper pad. I'm just going to stamp it right down in some black Nocturne ink, VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. And I'm going to heat emboss this with clear embossing powder. That way I don't have to worry about the pigment ink smearing. So I'm just going to heat set that with my heat tool. I've had it heating up off the side. That's another thing when you're heat embossing, make sure while you're stamping, you have it heating up. I have a strip of that same pattern paper for the front that I'm going to add to the inside to make sure everything ties together. So we're going to add that in, and here we go to put our scene together. I'm going to make sure my card base is nice and smooth. I'm going to add that purple or lavender polka dotty paper to the front. That's going to be my mat for the front layer, and then I'm going to add the little seam part right there on the front. Isn't this super cute? I told y'all this was easy to build a scene. It's just a matter of knowing which step to do and what. So I've cut some little banners, fishtail banners, out of some scraps of the pattern paper that was left. I decided I wanted it, since I'm going with a party theme. I wanted to have some little banners hanging up like it's hanging from the sky off of like maybe a tree or something. So I'm just cutting some little fishtails. I'm going to put my sentiment over to the left. I thought I'm about to put the banners underneath my sentiment. And so I'm kind of auditioning that. That's another thing about your card designs. Always audition your pieces to see if you're going to like them or not before you glue anything down. It makes it a little easier. So I have decided now that I like it better at the top. So I'm going to put my little fishtails over there on the right-hand side of the card. I'm going to end up cutting this little green one down a little bit, so it's nice and there's 3 different sizes. I'm going to start with my largest one, glue it down, and then I'm going to add my next largest one, and I'm going to glue that down, slightly overlapping. And my little green one, I'm going to overlap right in the center. That way it keeps my colors consistent. You can still see those colors throughout the card. And then I'm going to take and pop my sentiment up on some foam tape and add that where I had originally thought. I did end up cutting that piece of pattern paper down, that scrap, after I stamped it to make it fit a little bit better. Excuse me. Now I'm going to come in and add my finishing work. I'm going to take a white gel pen and add in my highlights on my little objects and my cake. Anything that is going to be, most everything has a highlight, so I always remember that. There's a highlight that hits everything. It's like we get our hair highlighted. It makes it nice and pretty. Add your highlights. I always go with them to have a contrast. I always put it usually in the darkest place. That way it's nice and contrasty. I'm going to add it to the little bee up there. And then I'm going to come in with some Stardust stickles and add a little glitter around. I'm going to add some to the bunny's feet. I'm going to add some to the little bee's wings, to the bunny's ear and nose, to my little teapot top, and to the tea that's pouring out. I'm going to add it to the cups on the tea and to the icing on the cake and to the bunny's tails. I thought the bunny's tails needed a little glitter. All right, that's my card. Here's the look at the inside, and you can see a closer look at the card, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys. Love you. Stay crafty.